Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel. Bhagavad-gita, here it is, because we have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Labanga Latika. And we have been going through Bhagavad-gita step by step, and we are now in the 12th chapter, Devotional Service, and today we will read text 17.
Shri Guru
So here Krishna is describing that devotee that is very dear to him, and it is of course it's a description, but it's also knowledge. We can see what qualities are naturally there in a devotee, and as we also have been hearing over and over, being a devotee is a natural thing. Prabhupada used the expression, it's not an artificial imposition on the mind, which means it's not nothing we are adding and like forcing. It's more a question of purifying our existence to the extent that the real me comes out. And today I'm reading text 17, and I start with the Sanskrit. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti na shochyati na kankshati subha shubha parityagi bhaktiman yasame priyaha. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. In other words, a pure devotee is not creating drama. Very, very solidly situated in the spiritual identity. I will read Prabhupada's purport. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. Yes, of course, these verses makes me think of Prabhupada, because Prabhupada came to the West to start this Krishna consciousness movement, and it's not just that now he's the founder of the movement. It is actually that he showed us an example. He showed us what it means to be a devotee. He took this instruction of Krishna and came to the West, and he was not disturbed. In the beginning, he was in New York, and he was walking the streets. He was observing the Americans. He met somebody who had like a yoga ashram, and he spent some time there, but they were not having the same philosophy. They were both from India, of course, but this yogi had this kind of yoga ashram where people would come and do yoga, but Prabhupada was more interested in actually giving access to the life of Krishna consciousness, not just a program like that. And if he had big plans, he could have been distressed at that point. Or if he would have been thinking it was too much trouble, he could also have given up at that point, because not very much happened. But as a devotee of Krishna, you have your service. And when you do your service to Krishna, then that is the perfection. Whether there is a result or not, it is up to Krishna. If there is a result, you can offer the result to Krishna. If there is no result, you can offer your service to Krishna. So a pure devotee is not doesn't get carried away by the waves of this world, that sometimes it's good and then we get all elated, and then it's like I live in Sweden and now we have summer, and summer is the most beautiful thing here because the rest of the rest of the year everything is more or less dead. Of course, when you're Swedish you'll naturally complain about the summer because it's too warm, but I find it so beautiful. Everything grows, there are flowers, there are fruits. You can walk outside without preparing for a Siberian expedition. You just put your shoes on and you're outside, and that's the way the weather is supposed to be. Of course it's not, because we're also having global warming and all of that. But a devotee like Srila Prabhupada, he came from Vrindavan, which is the place of Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago, and since the last 500 years it has been developed into a place of pilgrimage, because because Lord Chaitanya, as you may all have heard about if you have been listening to my channel, Krishna appeared 500 years ago, and he started the activities of this Krishna consciousness movement, especially the way how the worship of God is not hidden in some temple that you have to endeavor very hard to find. No, it's going out in the streets, singing God's name, encouraging everyone to try that practice. And 500 years ago he came and his disciples came to Vrindavan, and they established all the places of pilgrimage that had been forgotten or hidden or like that. So for the last 500 years pilgrims have been coming there. So it's a place with like 5,000 temples, and the holy river Yamuna is flowing. Of course, sometimes nowadays she's a bit polluted. Still, there is and some of the area has turned into no longer a village, not even a town, but a city with high skyscrapers and cars and everything. But still, there is so much of this spiritual atmosphere. And when Prabhupada lived there, he was, how to say, he was well known in all the temples. He had friends among the other devotees, and he had service there. But his aim was to fulfill his spiritual master's desire. So he went to America when he got the opportunity. He got a free passage on a freight ship. So neither rejoices nor grieves. So first nothing happened. And Prabhupada was very peaceful with that. He still had his, he opened his door. We will be singing here, reading Bhagavad-gita here. The young people are welcome. Well, anybody's welcome, obviously, but the young people are always more curious and ready to try something different. Then we see how the Krishna consciousness movement grew out of basically nothing. And it's not that Prabhupada got overly infatuated with his own success. He was still doing the same service. Now he traveled all over the world. He worked on translating the books. He was training his disciples and helping. Basically the whole movement rested on him, but he had appointed his disciples to be manager in different areas and on different projects. But he would always be in touch with them and run, be there for everything in this movement. So he did his service, and he did it with that, not lament, not desiring, not being too. Because sometimes in India they would criticize how he would go to the West, because a sannyasi is not supposed to take a boat or a plane or something like that. They're supposed to only walk on their feet. And he would get criticized that he was accepting female disciples. He would be criticized that even he accepted Westerners and trained them into brahmanas to perform deity worship and all of that. And I think at points he was a little disappointment that he didn't get the sort of support and cooperation from his other god brothers, but not to the point of lamentation. Renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. So being in Vrindavan is the most auspicious thing. So Prabhupada gave it up for the service. Then of course he came back, and he said he was bringing his Western disciples because they are his dancing white elephants, which also would encourage the people of India to look into their own tradition and take it more seriously. Yes. So reading these verses, I cannot help but think of Srila Prabhupada, because in my life, he's the brightest example of a pure devotee. But of course, there have been devotees throughout the ages. And Krishna says, Bhakti man yasame priyaha. He's been saying in all these verses, Yomad bhakta same priyaha. Anyone who is my devotee and has these qualities is very dear to me. And here it says Bhakti man, which means the devotee. That person who has bhakti. He's very dear to me, Krishna says. So, this is useful knowledge for us, because that's what we want to do. We want to please Krishna. That's actually the goal of devotional service. We may bring up so many other aspects. If you take to devotional service, you will be peaceful, you will be happy, you will not risk taking birth in some lower situation. But these are the kind of things that happen automatically. These are not the goals of devotional service. So, by taking to devotional service, you will be purified, your consciousness will be better. That is actually also not the goal. It is necessary. We have to purify our consciousness if we want to start acting on the real goal of a devotee. The real goal of a devotee is to please Krishna by your service. And we see the stories in Vrindavan. Krishna and his devotees in Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky, and also here on earth, he brings his own Vrindavan with him. So Vrindavan is actually the spiritual world also, just placed here on this planet. The devotees don't necessarily do very grand or impressive things to serve Krishna. Mother Yashoda, she will milk the cow and she will make butter for Krishna and hope that this is the best butter. Milk the cows, turn the milk into yogurt. I learned that recently in India. Apparently when they make yogurt, they don't separate the cream. They turn the milk with the cream into yogurt, and then they churn the yogurt, and then you get the butter, and you get the buttermilk, which is also very healthy and tasty to drink. So Mother Yashoda is very concerned, because some of the neighboring ladies have come bringing complaint that Krishna goes to their houses and steals the butter. And she's thinking, why would Krishna steal the butter? We have so much butter at home. Maybe their butter is better. Let me make even better butter. So she takes care of the best cows, that they get to graze on the best land, and she personally milks them. She personally turns it into yogurt, and she personally churns it. And you think, if God would come here, we have some stories in our local religions that God would, come in the form of a burning bush, and he would be threatening, and there would be great heavy consequences if you didn't follow his rules. And then sometimes they would try to conquer the whole continents just to turn people into their own religion. But a pure devotee of Krishna can be content to simply churn the butter and hoping to improve that butter better and better to please Krishna. So as a devotee, we may get big services and we may get small services, but the attitude is the same. Coming from that peaceful place of knowing that everything rests in Krishna's hand, a devotee is not moved or disturbed by the circumstances in this world, whether they are good or bad. They hold on to their service, and sometimes there is a result. They will offer it to Krishna. Sometimes there is no result, and then they will simply offer their service to Krishna. And when you meet such a devotee, it is actually contagious. You get that sense of your anxieties go away. You feel a little bit lifted out of the heaviness of this material existence. And it's a natural, peaceful, beautiful thing. And Krishna is describing it here in Bhagavad-gita so that we can also be a little better informed. How do we turn to him? How do we serve him? And what does it look like when a person has actually reached that level of devotion to the Lord? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.